we bring to you the Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager. It is Jerry Jones. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Kevin, Corey, Mike, and as always, it's good to be on with you.
Now, I know we got plenty of stuff to talk about with the Cowboys, but real quick, I wanted to get your thoughts about last night's Amazon broadcast. What did you think of the broadcast, and what do you think about streaming as maybe being the future way that a lot of NFL broadcasts are going to get pushed over the years?
Yeah, well, I first of all think streaming is a significant part of presenting the games. I'm excited about it. I think it will incorporate a segment of fans that young fans, if you will, that are important to our future and growth. And so I'm excited about streaming. I'm excited about the way we're approaching it. I'm chairman of our committee that owned and operated media, and I'm very excited about last night. That was a significant day for us to do and have this agreement with Amazon and present it. It always does. It'll get better and better, and we'll refine it. But from the standpoint of the quality of the picture, I thought it was great. I really am not for sure. I couldn't have a way to measure any delays of between the action and the audio. So all of that, those details are important. But overall, I thought it was great, and I thought it was a historic night to have that by design going to the country. Our policy has always been, wherever we can, put the games out where the most people can see them. I call it, you might call it free TV, but it's not. It can come with ads, or it can come with a subscription, a basic cost. But still, the more that can watch our game, the better off we all are, and that gets us more fans, and that's what it's about. You got to remember, only 7% of NFL fans have ever been inside a stadium. Only 7%. 93% of them are fans watching it through various presentations.
Yeah, get it right into their home, so they don't get there. They can get that delivered right to their home.
Jerry, do you have a non-football show that you ever watch on Amazon? Like, do you watch The Boys or Marvelous Mrs. Maisel or anything like that?
Well, I watch it all, and frankly, I'm lazy like that. And when I do take the time to watch it, I've usually watched it with somebody that knows how to work through all the ways to get it. But I think usually I'm watching something that's got every way there is to see, certainly NFL. And I would say that in other programming as well. But I never thought when I got involved, and I had the control of a television station in the central Arkansas area, but I was busy drilling gas wells, and I didn't spend a lot of time going into marketing meetings and going into the nuance of running the station. Had I known I was going to be in the NFL, I'd have been there every day looking at and trying to get a little education on broadcasting. But I got it real quick after I got involved in the NFL that NFL's I Love Lucy, which at that time, most of you listening don't know I Love Lucy, but it was the hottest thing in the world. And it cost you more than the rest of the programming put together almost to buy a rerun. And so I said, I want the NFL to become the I Love Lucy. Well, and I want us to be that in demand on television.
It definitely is at this point. Now, Jerry, last year, Vic Fangio said they had the blueprint on stopping this Cowboys team, this offense. And then this week, linebacker Devin White said that they knew exactly what the Cowboys offense was doing. How concerning is it that your offense is being said to be predictable this early in the season?
Let's see. We finished up after that Denver game, which was very disappointing last year, but we did have more offense. But after that Denver game, what was our record last year?
Pretty good.
12-5.
Okay. Well, if that can get a replay by knowing what it is we're doing by one of our opponents, and we can come up with the same record, I'll take it.
Do you ever think how much better, though, that perhaps, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but how much better perhaps that record even could be, or the playoff success could be, if maybe teams were not as familiar with what might play out?
When I first got on the competition committee 20-something years ago, Don Shula was the chairman, and Marty Schottenheimer and Flores, and I was the only non-coach on the committee. And we had just won the Super Bowl. And Don Shula and Schottenheimer told me, he said, do you know that every club in the league had y'all signals? And we knew whether you were going to run it or pass it, and we almost knew which way you were going to go. And we haven't stopped you yet. And you won the Super Bowl. And everybody knew what you were going to do.
So, Jerry, when it comes to this week, Cooper Rush is making the start. My background as a former major league pitcher, a lot of times hitters will say, hey, sometimes the toughest guys to hit are the minor leaguers that come up that there's very little information on. Do you feel like you have a better chance to win with Cooper Rush, that there's really only one game that the Bengals can look at in his career, and that's the Minnesota Vikings game?
Our team will address this literally from within. From within. I was talking to a great coach last night, and not on our staff. And he'd had similar situations. And it's not a coach that's coached here. And he said, you look for the answer maybe outside, maybe another quarterback. And he said the answer's from within, and he told of a season that he had that he lost his quarterback and then turned around and won 4 of the next 5. He said everybody's got to be a little better. The block, you got to hold your block longer. You got to do a little better. Everybody steps up and be's a little better, and you realize that at the end of the day, this was a team game, and that everybody, all 40 of them, had to go out there and step their game up. And so he said, actually, sometimes you look for a challenge like this. Now you say, well, that's an optimist, or that's not real enough. Well, there's a whole bunch of this game that's internal. There's a whole bunch of this game that's attitude. There's a whole bunch of this game that's will. And so you have got to realize that any one player can go down, or any 2 players can go down. And so my point is, I'm not going to get as hung up on the new pitcher. I'm not going to get as hung up on that, although it's real and it's something that you should dwell on. It's the overall reaction to our situation that is going to win the day.
McCarthy was talking during camp and multiple different times about the penalties and cleaning up the penalties and making sure that we were all squared away there. And there were 10 offensive penalties in the first week. When do you expect to see that improvement in that area?
Well, I would have thought we would have improved from where we were. I know the point of emphasis through training camp. I know the point of emphasis through that's done as late as last week. And so that certainly if you look at the fact that we were, I think, 11 times we were within, on third down, we were in very makeable situations. But we were within the range where you're supposed to make it on third down, and we didn't most of those times. That answers your question about a lot of things. And did you do it because of a penalty that stopped you, or it wasn't a penalty that didn't get you in a position to make a first down because you were there 11 times and didn't do it? And so you got to improve in everything, of course, but we've got to do a better job on third down. Now, I don't know whether I'm answering, but I'm not. Penalty, you say, the ones that kept you from getting to first down again, certainly pre-snap, really need to be focused on, but that's stepping it up. Everybody's stepping it up.
If you mentioned a couple of weeks ago that one of the things you like about Jason Peters is he can play on the left side or the right side. If those penalties did not get cleaned up, specifically for somebody like Terrence Steele, who had a rough first week one. Could you envision Jason Peters taking over at right tackle?
First, we've got to get Jason to where he's physically ready to play any of the positions. And he's not there yet, but he's getting there fast. Then there's no doubt he has the ability to swing. And so that'll give us some options. We've got a lot of help on the way if you looked at it that way. We have the ability with personnel, to have much better weeks ahead. And that's going to be a plus. I keep emphasizing, though, that alone is not going to get it done. It's got to have, each one has got to do a better, each player, each coach has got to do a better job.
I know you say that. I'm really asking, as a Cowboys fan myself, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that all of those possibilities might come through?
I think 1 of 3, 2 of 3. Okay, but my point to you is, are you kidding me? Do I believe this? Are you really asking that question? Of course I believe it. Of course I do. That's what I do. I've done a lot of things. Now, I've had them stuck up my you-know-what a lot, but I believed a lot of things that worked. Of course I believe it.
Jerry, when it comes to the Bengals, they were the worst team in football 2 years ago. They draft Joe Burrow. They don't get much better after he gets hurt. They draft Jamar Chase, and they're in the Super Bowl. Do you see that as just kind of, man, that's one of the most lucky things I've ever seen? Or, God, they just did everything right in a 2-year period?
Oh, I think they believed that if, and they kept striving. I can remember Mike Brown talking about when everybody was talking about needing this, needing that, and he said, guys, it's about the quarterback. He said, get me a quarterback and I'll win. If I don't have one, I won't win. Well, it's not that simple either, Mike. But, boy, it did show one thing. You get you a first-round pick, and he'd be the right first-round. Mike's had other first-round picks over there. But it's be the right first-round pick, and you can sure find that show up in the Super Bowl. He did it last year. So my point is that that's guys, that's what makes this so special. That's why so many people are interested, because there's no one set way. There's no combination of incidences that are something you can hang your hat on. On the other hand, you've got to sit there and work each one of them and do the best you can with what you got. And I know this is a little subjective, but man, this is a subjectively influenced exercise we're going through here. There are no pat answers.
Yeah. Michael Irvin yesterday, he came on with Sean and RJ and was talking about CeeDee Lamb, and for the next 18 weeks, he has to work with Cooper Rush to prove that he's a number one receiver, and that's going to be very tough. What do you expect from CeeDee Lamb over the next 4+ weeks?
Well, I think that you're going to, first of all, I think Rush is up to the task of winning ball games for us. And I think he's certainly had a lot of experience in this offense. He and Kellen Moore have been joined at the hip for a long time. So I like who we're lining up out there to begin with, to start right there. The people covering your best receiver, that happens. What do? You got to play through being covered. You got to catch balls covered. And you say, well, that's a trite thing to say. But you can't, just because they doubled you up, not make some plays. And so we just got to get some plays. We had some third down opportunities at combination of the ball, combination of the catch, combination of a lot of things. Maybe it was the protection on that play. But my point is, every team in the league is faced with the same thing. They're going to have their best receiver double covered. What he's got to do, or what the best receiver should do, is play through that coverage. And if he will play through that coverage, if he will play, then he'll keep both those guys on him, and they will leave somebody open. And Dak's one of the best there is at finding the open guy and going to the right guy. Rush can do it too. So my point is, there's another part to being that top receiver, and that is that it should compromise another a place on the field to throw the ball. Now you got to have time to get it out there.
Jerry, will third round pick Jalen Tolbert dress and play on Sunday?
Again, we'll see how the week goes, and we'll just see how the week goes. Again, Houston's had to name another receiver specifically. We're iffy on a couple of situations there as far as whether they'll be ready or not, but we'll see how it goes.
And before we let you go, Jerry, every week we have listeners and Tolos out there that get mad after this interview because we didn't come on and cuss you and demand that you sell the team. And you and I butted head times before. That being said, do you have like a hotline or a suggestion box we can direct those angry Cowboys fans to?
Yeah. Why don't you one of these days, we used to do that, is have fans call in and I'd answer a question. I'd be mad too. I will tell you this right now, the best way to get something done is it comes straight into me. Comes straight in. And I don't have politics. I don't have two or three people in between and get into all of those kinds of things. It comes straight into that, and those same fans know I'll never sell this team.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're busy now, but whenever you're not busy, I will go ahead and I would be glad to book that segment at any point, and I'm sure our bosses would be glad to book that segment as well. So you just let us know.
I sure would welcome the segment, and not at any way. I live with it. I live with it every day, and And I let me say this: I am so sensitive to our fans. But everything I do it. But I will tell you, you look around and rehiring or shuffling out general managers on top of shuffling out coaches, I haven't seen that be the secret to success in the league.
Well, we appreciate your insight as always. And I mean, if you're dead set on hearing from the fans, I'm sure we could set that up. And we appreciate talking with you every Friday. Good, sir.
Thank you, guys. We do too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I do too.